What's up, everybody? I am here with my pal, my friend. He's a connector, he's a catalyst, he's a coach, he's a strategist,
Strategist.
but he's also my friend, Chris Lagerlof. Chris works for Slingshot. It's one of the premier search and coaching engines out there, companies, groups. What exactly does it do?
We're both coaches and we also help church find staff, pastors. We work with nonprofits as well, and we are practitioners. We really understand the landscape of the church and nonprofits. Many of us have been. I was on staff at Mariners Church here in Irvine for 17 years, so we get this church space, and so we see through that lens, and we also see through the coaching lens. When we get involved in the search, we're not just looking for talent. We're looking for best practices and ways to help that church get to the next level by the person that they're trying to hire. And so we work with churches, we work with candidates. We have thousands of them that we're in dialogue with on a constant basis, and sort of a well of talent that we can help the church find.
Awesome. I can give a testimony about Chris because when we launched a church in 2010, no, that's too...
No, after that, 14.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah. Chris and John Blue were like my mentors, a part of, what was that group called?
Mission Orange County.
Yeah, Mission Orange County, and they were the ones that coached me and told me how to do it, and that church is going so strong, up over like 300 people. It's great. I handed it off to my brother-in-law and came back here so that now I can plant churches. So anyway, everything I learned from this guy, which is why I'm excited to be interviewing.
Well, and that's fun, David, because both John and I were very impressed with not just you, but your strategy and your heart to go to Clovis outside of Fresno, California. So most church planners feel called to go to San Diego. And I always wonder why Jesus loves San Diego more than any place on earth.
Yeah, I hear South County, Orange County. Everyone's always like, are you going to be planting there soon? And like, well, we need to go to Riverside. We need to go like out these other areas.
Right.
Anyway, here we are in a pandemic, quarantine. How are you doing? How's the fam?
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm actually doing well. I've actually home office since 2011. So there hasn't been a huge shift in how I operate. And so for me, it's just, missing the things that have been taken away during this time, which I completely understand, and the luxuries that exist. I'm a single dad. I have two daughters. Sent my oldest off to San Diego State last year, so she came home early, so she's here.
Oh, okay.
And my other daughter's in high school, so they're doing well. I mean, they probably know more about how to handle this and use technology and all these platforms than most adults do. So school's been fairly easy. I think the word or the phrase of the year though is going to be "I'm bored," at least in this household.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Because it just gets boring being in the same place all the time. It's like that's why they didn't make a second Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because the library is pretty boring. Yeah, but it's been good, doing well. And as a single person too, I'd speak to that. I think this is harder for a lot of single people because you're alone a lot. I remember, David, I don't know if you were there, but I used to do this thing where I know you're going to love this because you're such a Disney fan.
Right.
Where I'd take 3 or 4 church planners to Disneyland, and I'd give them a list of things to look for and observe, and things like values and customer service and attention to detail, and I'd send them off all alone. And we'd come back to lunch and debrief their observations and what they learned. And one of the guys said, I've been coming to Disneyland for years. Maybe it was you. And every time I get on that tram from the parking structure, from the parking lot, it's filled with families and kids, and I was all by myself. And he said something like, it gave me this passion and just heart for what it must be like to be single and go to church when there are all these families and kids there. And so, this is an interesting time, but I'm doing great. I mean, I've slowed down. I walk a lot, I hike. It's easier to be still and connect with God. And I think this season we're in has invited me to spend more time with God and be more intentional about that. I just finished a journal in 30 days. It usually takes about 90 days to complete or fill up. So it's been good.
Yeah, um, it's funny because I love going to Disneyland alone, and I love like watching and just being there. I write sermons there, but I don't think that's fair because for me, I get to get away from the family, and so it's kind of an alone time. If you're always alone, I just can't even imagine. I'm trying to wrap my head around what would that feel like, not to have the opportunity to bring, a loved one. So yeah, it has to be super challenging. I haven't even thought about singles in this time being quarantined.
Yeah, especially if they're, I have my girls half time, so
yeah,
it's the times they're not here, it's so quiet, and but you just got to find ways to keep focused, not get distracted, stay in shape or exercise or get outside and get fresh air, and and also do your social distancing and what you need to. But yeah, you just got to be disciplined.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram, share it to your home pages, invite people in. Will you just speak to that a little bit more? You mentioned going for walks and journaling, and what you would normally take you 90 days only took 30 days. What other things would you suggest in this time where you've really been able to connect with God in the midst of this craziness?
Yeah, that's good. I think prayer walks are really good because you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're getting outside, which we need to be. It's so funny. I told someone the other day, like, I never expected to be living in a time where going to the store was like the highlight of the day. Right? So, but it forces you to get outside. But I think you got to stay grounded in God's word. So I'm reading a psalm every single day. I do a verse of the day. And then think about it, write about it, and just try not to miss a day.
Yeah, when I go to the store, I feel like, what's the zombie show, Walking Dead? Like I have to mount up, I got my gloves, my mask. Right. All right, I'm gonna go catch some food.
Right. What are we gonna tell our grandkids someday? I remember the day when everyone was wearing masks and walking around and we had to stay in our house all day long.
Our kids are going to ask us about this time period in life. It's just so, especially if it goes for a really long time.
Right.
If we go all the way through the summer, which I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but gosh.
Sure.
Okay, I want to talk about Slingshot. So One of the things that I think might be devastated, and I could be wrong because of the stimulus package, but I thought churches would be laying off people left and right. Is anybody hiring? Like your whole job is about helping churches and nonprofits and now profits hire people. Is that being decimated?
It's really slowed down. I think churches a lot of them are in wait and see moments. Yeah. I know many churches are on hiring freezes, but a lot of churches are still hiring critical roles. I mean, right now the most two critical roles are the lead pastor and the worship pastor, because that's who you see. So if a church is in need of a lead pastor, worship pastor, most of them are full steam ahead, but some have paused. So you've got a wave of churches that are kind of just hiring freeze, wait and see. I'm doing 13 searches right now, and about 10 of them began right as we went into this. All of them are moving forward. They're slowing down the search process, which I can explain later. But none of them have come back and said, we're pausing and we're not doing the search anymore. But there's also churches that have let people go. Some are talking furloughing. And churches that went into this struggling already, or maybe were in decline, or didn't have more than 2 or 3 months of reserves in the bank account, I think they're going to they may begin to hit that breaking point in the next couple of weeks, just like a lot of people are. I mean, we're seeing protesting and all this. I think people are hitting a breaking point. They're drained, they're tired. And I think churches are kind of going through that same thing. So, but last week we got 5 search contracts, and so there are still churches that, I got one. So there are still churches that are moving forward and hiring to critical needs.
And what does 5 mean? Is what's normal?
Normal for us is around 4 to 5 a week. So about 20 a month. about 22 to 24 a month.
It's about 25% still moving forward, would you say?
That was in 1 week. So no, that.
Oh, it's normal.
Yeah, 5 a week that's about average. That's average. So numbers wise, so that's good. Yeah.
I work for a denomination, about 40 plus churches, and I've been watching numbers, and it's been interesting because everyone was talking about furlough immediately because they just knew what we were heading into. Several of them got the loans through the CARES Act, and so now that helps stop a lot of people from being let go, but giving has been steadily going down, and so it's like the longer we go, that money runs out real fast. That's
what we're watching closely. It's sort of the fatigue. At first everyone, oh great, we're going to do this online. We're excited, and then watching churches. There were a lot of churches that weren't ready for this, and I'll give you some examples. Like they depended on the offering basket being passed on Sunday morning more than most churches because they didn't use online platforms or equip their people to begin high percentage of their people to give online. And they can't do that now. And so the other side of it is a lot of churches don't use technology or video or live stream. And all of a sudden, in a few days, the pastor went from the pulpit to being a televangelist.
Right.
And, not every pastor is good on video. And, like my church, we use YouTube, and it's high def, and it's well produced. I've seen some stuff on Facebook. It's like, I don't know how many more weeks I could watch this.
Yeah.
So, and I hope that doesn't produce this over time, this consumer mindset. Like, I'm going to go check out all these different churches, and I'm going to choose the one that does the best job with the technology that's available and produces the best, Sunday service and all that. So I think over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start to see some breaking points.
Yeah, that's not the line. If there was community before,
yes,
community will win. And so relationship, community, people are okay with having that Facebook Live look, that might look a little bit down because they already had community and they love everyone and everyone's talking on there. So it's kind of cool. What we're losing though is if you're new, I'm not sticking around for that. I don't know anybody in here and this sounds okay.
Yeah, and if I invite my friend to it, hey, can you, I do like a watch party or something. And
right.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think the other thing too that it's been interesting to observe is how churches are learning to virtually care for, connect with, and communicate with their people Monday through Saturday.
Right.
And it's not just about Sunday and having a service online. And some churches, and a lot of churches are doing a fantastic job, and it's changing the church. It almost is taking us back to how, I know churches that literally, there's a lot of pastors who they can't bring people to their programs, like their men's ministry or women's ministry. And so, their job's changed. And so they're given the role, hey, A through B, every week you have to call all like 200 people and just check them in.
Yeah.
That's your job as we get through this and connect with people. And then, how we communicate and do a great job with that. Which, so it's really, I think, changing, not just how we do things on the weekend.
Yeah.
Or it's also changing how do we minister to people virtually, not on Sunday.
It's so funny because a lot of church planting stuff that we've been talking about for years, everyone's pulling that back out now. I was like telling people like we should be doing that anyway. We should already have been thriving in those areas, but we really lost track of it and just waited for people to come to our doors.
Yeah.
Church planters that had to be the opposite. They had to go out and get people.
Right.
And so those principles of calling people, of figuring out ways to connect with people beyond Sunday morning when they just magically show up, they matter now.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. On Sunday, I opened up my Facebook page and I scrolled down and it was just, I'm connected to so many people in ministry. So it was just, it was one service after another. It's like, it was just, it's just fun to see, the church take over Facebook.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so Slingshot, I think you mentioned this with we're quarantined. How does anybody interview? How do we get a job? How do we
right, and that's part of the pause on search is you're interviewing a candidate as a church, and you really want to take it to that next level, but you can't bring them in on a site visit. it's not a good idea to travel,
Right.
especially with a family and kids if they're coming, and B, there's nothing to see. There's no Sunday service. The church is kind of shut down on Sunday, except for what's being broadcasted or what's on live stream. So when we're coaching churches on this, we actually had a church make a virtual hire last week without a site visit. Now, that's risky because the site visit for the church is just as important for the candidate and the family. They want to touch, taste, feel everything. So it's how do you take it as far as you can, and then once there's really not just a green light, but it just makes sense to bring someone in and get them there as quick as possible, so you don't lose that time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that's slowing it down. And I think the economics, of it. Churches don't want to necessarily. They want to be careful not to hire someone and not be able a month later to realize we can't afford to pay you, for this role anymore. So that's being a good steward of not just your finances, but that person and their family.
This one that was hired, the virtual hire, did they have to move? Is it a moving situation?
Yeah.
So it is possible.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's risky, but it's possible. So they did a virtual site visit, and they everything was done virtually. So
I mean, I know 2 churches right now needing a pastor. They put it on pause, and this week they go, well, we can't stay on pause, and so they're starting to do Zoom meetings with those that have sent in applications and stuff. So if it goes for 3 months, people who need a job, and churches that need a pastor are going to have to get a pastor. So this is probably becoming very real for you.
David got it wrong on Facebook today.
Oh shoot.
That's right. No, you fixed it though. You did. Okay.
Okay.
It's Lagerlof. One F.
One F. Okay.
Yes. It happens all the time, David. It's
Okay.
Lagerlof, Lagerlof at slingshotgroup.org.
Perfect.
And if you're a church that's in need of staffing or coaching, we do a lot. We do hundreds of coaching contracts in partnerships a year, and it's next level coaching. It's first 90 days for someone who's hired coaching, because it's critical days when they step in. Those first 90 days, we do a lot of succession coaching, which is, that's going to be a big, I don't want to say epidemic, but there's a lot of baby boomers who are hitting that place of it's time for my succession to begin.
Yeah.
What does that look like, and what is the plan? And so we do crisis counseling. Like right now, there's a lot of crisis with churches or coaching, and then of course we do staffing. But if you're a candidate and you're in a place where you're looking for what's next, or maybe something's changed unexpectedly, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to talk to you.
Love it. Well, if you're watching, thanks for watching. Tomorrow I am interviewing a missionary in Sierra Leone at 11 a.m. on here on Facebook Live.
Fun.
And then on Thursday.
What time is it there when you do it?
So for them, what did he say? I think it's 5 or 6 hours. But on Thursday, it's a person in Russia and Siberia. We're doing it at 5 p.m. and they'll be at 7 a.m. And so that's the furthest I go. I go 5 p.m. I think people will still check it out, but he's a pastor in Kansk, Russia, and it's a guy I visited a couple years ago. It's amazing. So just to see how the pandemic's moving all over the world. Anyway, thanks for watching, Chris.
All right, thanks, David. Always fun to see you.